A while back, a well-known and very good professional photographer contacted me. She had a huge problem with her photos and she asked me if I could fix her photos in post-process. And when I told her what she did wrong, she was in total shock. I absolutely love to help the photography community because it has learned me a lot, so I want to give back to the community. So I said, sure, no problem. Send me the raw files. And when I saw her raw files, I instantly knew what she did wrong. She had made a huge mistake. Her photos were very overexposed. Overexposed to the point that there was no data available in the photo. So I couldn't recover what was missing. That happened because she used manual mode on the camera when she should have used AV mode. When I thought about the AV mode, she couldn't believe what I was saying. Because you're a professional photographer, you don't shoot automatic, you shoot manual. There's kind of a stigma that you should always use manual mode and automatic is for amateurs and all that stuff. So that's why I made this video. To show you can work in AV mode if you use the right settings and there's a right time to use the AV mode. Before you decide to destroy me in the comments and tell me you should shoot manual.
You have never had any problem with shooting manual.
I hope you can hear me out. This video isn't against manual mode, not at all. When you can shoot manual, you should shoot manual. And if you want to be a better photographer, you should shoot manual. You should learn about how the camera works, how shutter speed works, how ISO works, so you have a better understanding of how photography works. But when you're working with a client, like a wedding photography client, you cannot mess up the photos. Think about group photos, photos with loved ones, first kiss, first looks. I can name a lot of things you can't mess up. It's better to be safe than sorry. Be creative with your photos. It's the best thing ever, but there is a time and place to be creative with your photos and shoot manual. And especially in wedding photography, you capture emotion. And when you're capturing emotion, you look through the camera. You don't look at the camera, you look through the camera. Focus on what is happening. You're focusing on the wedding couple, you're focusing on the guest. So there's no time to adjust your settings. So I think emotion goes before all the settings of your camera. Because emotion is the most important thing you want to capture in wedding photography. If you want to capture emotion, you want to be sure you have photo with correct light. That is not overexposed or not too underexposed. And in wedding photography, sometimes you don't have a lot of time to adjust your camera. You have sometimes huge light difference, like the photographer that sent me the photos. She was shooting outside, it was a cloudy day and suddenly there was a sun. So when you got a sun, the light will be way more than when you have a cloud. So you have to adjust the camera, and often you're not fast enough to adjust the camera, so the photo is messed up. And if it's an important photo, you can't use the photo. In my case, I shoot hybrid. I shoot a lot of hybrid, so video and photo. So the AV mode for me is just way easier to shoot. But how do you set up a camera for AV mode? Well, there's a couple of things you have to do prior to shoot AV mode. And there are 4 things. First, of course, you put your camera in AV mode. And AV mode means aperture mode. That means that you have full control over your aperture. So you want to shoot 1.4, 2.8, f9. If you set it to that aperture, it will always stick to that aperture. The second thing you want to adjust is your shutter priority mode. And here comes the interesting thing about AV mode. Shutter priority mode, and every camera has a different way of calling it, but mainly it's called shutter priority mode. It means that you tell the camera, when the camera is in AV mode, for instance, that the shutter can't go below this and not above that. So that means what I do is I say to the camera, you can't go below 1/125, so it's always sharp enough. Sometimes I put it in 1/250, so it can go below 1/250, so I'm sure the photo is really sharp. For instance, with group photos, I always choose 1/250 and up. I don't choose a max setting, so I say 125 or 1/250, sometimes even lower, depending on the setting. If people sit at a dinner setting, they sitting still, you can go to 160, especially when you got a camera with stability. And that's how I control the shutter speed. Then you have the ISO. The ISO is also very important. You could set the ISO to like a standard setting, like 400 ISO. That's a very good setting to choose, or some people use 800, depends on if you use ND filters and stuff. But still, when you're shooting outside and the sun decides to beep behind the cloud, you will have a dress that is overexposed. So what you could do is choose automatic ISO. A modern camera can measure the light quite good, and you don't have to worry about it not being right. So if you choose an ISO that's automatic, you're sure that your ISO goes low to 100 or 50 when the sun peeps out. And the fourth thing I always adjust is exposure composition. And what it does to your camera, it says you can never, when you measure something, always go one step lower in light, or 1/3 of a step, or a full stop. We call it stops in photography. So one full stop is one full stop lower in light. And when I set my AV mode, I always put it to one stop below, and even when I'm shooting outside, sometimes to 1.5 stop lower. So that ensures me that my photo is never overexposed, because low light I can fix, and overexposed I can't fix. And that way I always have the right light for my photos. But when I'm shooting photos and there's no like a photo shoot, or there's like a dinner setting, I go manual mode, I try things out, I do some creative stuff because I like the creative stuff. But in my experience, and I've shot more than 1,000 weddings, so I have a lot of experience in shooting and sending couples photos, they will choose the more stable photos instead of the arty photos, because you're a photographer, you like to change things up, you're looking different at the photos. But most couples are clients who just want photos that tell the story. And if it's too arty-farty, sometimes people don't like the photos, or it's too much for them. So be sure to have the photos that the client likes. And for yourself, you can do the arty-farty stuff. I always send it to my clients, and some love it, love photography, some don't know what to do with it. But that's all right, mix it up. So when you use the settings I've shown you, you can really change your photography game, because you get less anxiety when shooting and be more sure of more beautiful shots. And you want to show those shots to the world. And that's the most difficult part of becoming a professional photographer, or a known photographer, because how do people notice you? That's where MusicBed comes into play. It helped me to create really cool content with really cool songs. It doesn't matter if it's classic music, cinematic, or even a song about French toast. These cool songs helped me to go viral on social media. More people saw my work, and my photography business was exploding, because wrapping your photos in the right music will boost your business on social media, and we all want booming businesses. So check them out in the description below, and you will absolutely love the music they've got. It's very professional. Thank you for watching. Love to see you next time. And like we say in the Netherlands, doei!